When Sharon told Phyllis, "If you don't want to see me, then quit coming to my coffee shop," that was a chef's kiss moment. Even my husband, who barely watches the show, cracked up. Bravo, writers. On another note, I still can't shake the suspicion that Alan is really Martin in disguise, and Ashley is walking straight into danger. Mark my words. Oh, and Kyle. When he dropped that bombshell about caring for Claire more than she knows, my jaw hit the floor. Did not see that coming. Spoiler alert for Thursday. Michael starts pressuring Phyllis to come clean about the night of the accident. Phyllis is furious at Lauren for spilling the beans to Michael about the other car she saw. It wasn't Sharon's. Meanwhile, Nate invites Audra to join his family dinner with Devin, Abby, and Lily to celebrate Lily's return to Winters. And the Phyllis-Billy duo. They're plotting against Victor. Phyllis feels completely betrayed by Lauren and Michael. Oh, and here's a wild theory I can't shake. What if Victor is using AI to mimic Jack's voice? I'm telling you, it's shady. He's probably trying to steal that company. What's it called again? Lasad? You know the one I mean if you watch the show. The whole thing screams Victor-level scheming. Also, why is Victor still harping about Jack almost killing his wife the night of the so-called debauchery? Let's not forget, Jack risked his life to save Nikki. If anything, Victor should be sending him a lifetime supply of gratitude, not rewriting history. Hey everyone, welcome back to Radiant Serum. I'm Aubrey, and I hope your day is shining bright. Thank you for joining me. Let's jump right into today's video. Today's episode was interesting, to say the least. First of all, Victor was back at it, haranguing Claire about Kyle. Classic ogre Victor. Here's hoping Claire is smart enough to ignore him and not let anything slip about the Abbotts. And seriously, how long is he going to cling to this idea that Jack almost killed Nikki in that hotel? Let's get it straight. Jack saved her life, risking his own in the process. If anything, Victor owes Jack a big fat thank you, not this constant barrage of misplaced blame. On a brighter note, it's great to see Lily rejoining her family at work. Maybe now she'll finally get the respect she deserves. That said, I wasn't thrilled about her recent antics with Billy. Speaking of relationships, is it just me, or do Abby and Devin have zero chemistry? I love them both as characters, just not as a couple. On the flip side, Nate and Audra are really growing on me. They actually seem good for each other. And Jack, what a gem of a human being. But knowing Victor, I'm sure he's plotting something devious to throw Jack off his game. The highlight of today's show? No Phyllis. Finally, a little peace and quiet. Oh, and how sweet were Nikki and Victoria, giving Claire all those gorgeous clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Claire is one lucky girl. I like her too. She's a great addition to the mix. Now, let's talk about some loose threads that are driving me nuts. First, where exactly did the guy helping Jordan with Sharon come from? I vaguely remember him, but can't recall his role in the story. Then there's Jordan and Ian. Clearly, they're the ones tampering with Sharon's medication. But how does Cameron fit into all this? He's the one who pushed Sharon into doing all those terrible things. And how did Jordan even manage to sneak a hallucination drug into her meds? I need the writers to clarify this mess because, honestly, the whole thing is starting to feel a little too far-fetched. If they don't straighten it out soon, I might just stop watching altogether. What do you think? Am I being too harsh, or is it time for some tighter storytelling? Victor telling Claire she has to choose between the Newmans and the Abbotts. Excuse me, does he not remember that Abby exists? You know, the daughter he had with Ashley? The nerve. Speaking of Abby, her new haircut? Big nope. Sorry, but it's not doing her any favors. And while we're at it, let's talk about Nikki. Yes, folks, she wears wigs, just like most of the ladies on the show. Extensions too, it's no secret, so everyone can just calm down. Seriously, untwist your panties, take a deep breath, and chill. And yes, that includes the people trying to shut down comments about it. Shy takes, y'all. Now back to Nikki. Why does she always stick her snooty nose in the air when she's talking to Claire? It's so distracting. And don't get me wrong, she looked fabulous after trimming a few inches off her hair, but could she be less condescending? As for Abby, she's undeniably gorgeous, but I wish she'd style her hair differently. Her current look is distracting in the worst way. And then there's Claire. What are they doing to her? Remember My Fair Lady and the whole Eliza Doolittle makeover? This feels just as insulting. Instead of letting Claire have a say in her own style, they're forcing her into some weird Newman mold. Like, what's wrong with her judgment? If I were Claire, I'd be offended too. Now onto the Phyllis situation. If she ends up being charged for tampering with Sharon's meds, will Nick and Michael actually step up and fight for her? They know Phyllis better than anyone and should realize she didn't do it, even if she's been acting a little stir-crazy lately. Maybe, just maybe, if Phyllis comes clean about the accident, the truth will finally start to unravel. It's about time things get shaken up because this storyline is begging for some resolution. Do you find it odd that Alan hasn't been treating any clients since Ashley? I mean, I get that Sharon will be his latest, but it's strange we never hear him talk about his work. Actually, no, it makes sense. He told Tracy while they were in France that he's retired and no longer practicing. Plus, Alan didn't technically treat Ashley. He just spoke with her a few times at the request of her family to assess whether she had a serious issue. He ended up referring her to some professionals he knew in France for actual treatment. That said, it'll be interesting to see if the writers suddenly make him an actively practicing psychiatrist when Sharon's hypnotism comes into play. Then again, Griffith can write whatever he wants. Just look at the way he turned Summer from a stepmother into an adoptive mother in the span of one day. And let's not forget, a psychologist isn't the same as a psychiatrist. A psychologist doesn't have a medical license, so their qualifications are easier to obtain compared to an MD psychiatrist. OMG, another Claire-centric episode. Between her, Victor, and Nikki, why even bother having anyone else under contract? It's the same conversations and recycled storylines. Meanwhile, where is Adam? Did MG upset someone behind the scenes? The only thing that kept me remotely interested was the thought that Claire might finally show some resistance to Victor. After all, Jordan controlled her for her entire life. Surely she wouldn't let Victor do the same? That would actually make things interesting. But no, just like most of his grandkids, she seems to accept his behavior and interpret it as some warped version of love. Let's be honest, it's all about control with Victor. Claire is such a chameleon. She adapts effortlessly to fit the situation or the person she's dealing with. With Kyle, she's naive and sweet. With Nikki, she's suddenly business savvy. With Cole and Victoria, she morphs into the picture-perfect daddy and mommy's little girl. And with Victor, she's sugary sweet, but there's always an undercurrent of I'll do whatever I want. But here's my take, she's none of those things. Deep down, she's a mini Jordan, and it's only a matter of time before that side of her emerges. Inappropriate couples. Are there any couples you think could work on screen but wouldn't happen because it would just be too inappropriate? For me, I've always liked the chemistry between Vicky and Nick, but let's be real, that's a hard no for obvious reasons. Sharon and Noah had that older woman-younger man dynamic that, under different circumstances, could have totally worked. Lily and Devon, they've always seemed like a perfect match. The chemistry is there, but their family connection makes it a definite no-go. Now, shifting to real life, I remember hearing Josh Morrow, Nick, mention on a talk show that he was attracted to Amelia Heinel Victoria, and that he'd sleep with her if he could. That's quite a statement. His wife must be the most confident and secure woman alive. I mean, I'd seriously struggle if my spouse openly talked about wanting to sleep with coworkers, especially ones who are, let's face it, way more attractive than me. Here we go again. Victor's still using that tired excuse about Jack almost killing his wife. Is this really the best storyline they can come up with for him? It's beyond embarrassing at this point. Nikki is alive, well, and running Chancellor Industries. Why is Victor still harping on this ancient miserable excuse just to go after Jack? It's childish and ridiculous. And now, of course, he's dragging Michael into his latest scheme. Sure, Michael protests, but not enough to actually stop Victor. Honestly, Michael needs to grow a spine and stop acting like Victor's personal lapdog. Every time he's around Victor, it's all about staying in his good graces and sucking up. So, is Victor about to one-up Jack yet again? I really hope Jack is smart enough to see through Victor's so-called admission that he's been bested. We all know it's just a ploy. Jack knows Victor too well by now to fall for this, right? Please don't dumb Jack down, writers. Let him have his victory and watch Victor stew in his defeat. Just the thought of Jack winning should be enough to give Victor sleepless nights, and I'm here for it. I want to see Jack revel in his success while Victor drives himself crazy trying, and failing, to get revenge. Thoughts on Victor? Honestly, I wish he'd just shut up and be grateful that Nikki is alive. I think his bitterness stems from the fact that he wasn't the one to get Nikki help for her addiction. He's mentally abusive and controlling, especially with Nikki. Maybe he even suspects she slept with Jack. If so, she should just leave him already. I'd love to see less of Victor on the show, but if we're stuck with him, can we at least get some fresh and interesting writing? This endless loop of him going after Jack and always coming out on top is boring. For a moment, it looked like Jack might actually get a win, but now it's back to Victor's revenge schemes. Victor is the real loser in all of this. His obsession with Jack prevents him from enjoying his golden years. He's a deeply unhappy man, never satisfied, and thrives on the pain of others, including his own family. Any self-respecting woman would have left him ages ago, yet Nikki stays, allowing him to pit their children against each other and cause endless anguish. This character hasn't evolved at all. As one of the iconic figures on the show, he's been degraded by this repetitive, tired behavior. Just my opinion, but I'm done with Victor's BS. 2025 stories and couples we'd love to see. For me, one big storyline has to be Ian and Jordan finally being exposed. But don't just wrap it up neatly, add a huge twist before they're written off. Maybe throw in proof that Claire isn't really Eve, just to shake things up. Here's a far-out theory. What if Ian targeted Sharon, not just because she accepted Mariah, who he raised, but because there's a deeper connection? What if Sharon's strained relationship with Doris is because Ian and Doris were together once, and, brace yourself, Ian is actually Sharon's biological father? Now that would be a twist for the ages. Couples. Jack and Diane finally split, and she leaves town. Jack rekindles his romance with Phyllis. What do you think? Would this mix of drama and unexpected connections keep things fresh? Lily going back to Winters. But for how long? It's not just Victor. Lily has a right to be upset about being treated like a child. As much as I disliked her recent attitude, she didn't deserve to be disrespected like that. That said, I think there will be clashes. Lily isn't going to like being a subordinate, but she needs to humble herself and learn to be a team player. Nate learned the hard way, and now he and Devon respect each other's roles in the business. But honestly, I don't fully trust Lily. She's turned on Devon before. Remember when he gave her solid advice about Victor, but she arrogantly dismissed it with, "Not me." Victor respects Dad too much. Yeah, right. Victor steamrolls over everyone to get what he wants. If Lily is stepping back into Winters, Devon is her boss, and she needs to accept that. Ground rules need to be set, or she'll pull a Hope and Carter situation, just my opinion. Lily asked for this. She thought she could handle Victor, and refused to listen to anyone who tried to warn her. What Victor, Nikki, and Jill did to her was definitely cutthroat, but maybe it's a lesson learned. She trusted the wrong people, even over Devon, who's been begging her to return to Winters. Some say Devon is controlling, but I think he's just protective when it comes to business. He's focused on what's best for his company, especially after Lily and Jill talked him into the disastrous decision to go public. Honestly, if I were Devon, I wouldn't let her anywhere near my business, sibling or not. Victoria should be all in Victor's face. I saw the look on Victoria's face after Claire called out what Victor said, and it was priceless. Hopefully, she gives him a serious tongue lashing and makes it crystal clear. If you do one thing to hurt Claire or interfere with her choices, we're done. But the key is, she has to mean it. I remember when Victoria was played by Heather Tom. She made Victor cry plenty of times, but every time, she showed him she was serious. She'd be crying 1 minute, and then when she stood her ground, Victor knew not to mess with her. The real kicker was when Nikki encouraged her to ignore Victor and make her own choices, like she's been doing for years. Right? Please, she never truly stands up to Victor the way she should. How many times have we heard Victoria say, "I'm done with Daddy," only to go crawling back for more? Let's hope Claire has a stronger backbone and won't put up with Grandpa Vic's controlling behavior like his own kids have. Phyllis needs a timeout. Phyllis running around town, screaming and giving orders to Faith. It's just ridiculous. She really needs a timeout. I can't wait for the moment when Phyllis finds out the truth and realizes what a liar she's been throughout all of this. Honestly, I wish they'd stop having Phyllis scream all the time. I just can't watch it. I've had a past relationship where the guy would scream at me constantly, to the point where his voice would go hoarse. Watching Phyllis do that triggers my PTSD. I'd much rather see Phyllis express her anger in a more rational, civil manner. Maybe I'm blocking it out, but I don't remember her screaming this much when she was younger. She definitely hollered, but it wasn't this constant, high-pitched screaming. What will Sharon's hypnosis reveal? I'm really curious about what Sharon's hypnosis will uncover. What if she starts remembering things about Murder Incorporated, Jordan and Ian, and all the crimes they've committed? And wouldn't it be interesting to see Ian and Jordan turn on each other when their plans inevitably fail? Watching them try to take each other out would definitely be entertaining. But here's a twist I'd love to see. How about Jordan exposing to everyone in Genoa City, especially the Newmans, exactly how Victor held her captive, spilling all the sordid details? That would be a jaw-dropper. And then, after all the truth comes out, they could cart both Ian and Jordan off to a South American black site prison. They deserve it. Why are people sleeping on Nate and Audra? For me, Nate and Audra are the couple right now. They are so hot together. One of the best moments was when Nate was complimenting Audra while she was standing in front of the mirror. The way he highlighted all her amazing qualities and made her feel incredible was one of the most supportive speeches I've ever heard on this show. I can't remember the exact episode, but it was truly a standout moment. I also love how they're developing their relationship slowly and with depth. The writing is really well done. Unlike many couples, they actually have meaningful conversations that go beyond just saying, "I love you," without any substance behind it. It's refreshing to watch. Jack and Kyle's talk today. I thought their conversation was both meaningful and productive. Jack really channeled a lot of John Abbott in that moment, and I'm sure his dad would have been proud. I have to admit, The Young and the Restless may have some of the worst plots and storylines, but it's really shining when it comes to character introspection. Jack, Kyle, Claire, and a few others are being developed so well right now. I'm genuinely surprised, because so many soaps forget that characters are the core of the story. What they're feeling, their inner turmoil, their thoughts, all of that should drive the plot, not just external events. This is the one thing I'll give JG credit for, as he's fallen short on just about everything else. Boris and Natasha, Granny version. I've always been a fan of Ray Wise, and have enjoyed his work over the years, but this storyline is beneath him, especially with the whole Sinatra as lounge singer disguise. Colleen's Inc. has also been a favorite of mine since Another World, but this over-the-top, scenery-chewy role is a waste of her talent. These two characters feel more like cartoons than actual villains, and they're just not scary. Can we please move this along, writers? Let these two talented actors go so they can tackle better material elsewhere. I agree, it would be great if we could speed this up and have that Jordan momentum and that and reformed Manion Wardem poison each other and end their story already. Honestly, it's getting worse than a cartoon at this point. At least cartoons are entertaining. Don Diamond. I really wish they could bring Don Diamond back to The Young and the Restless as Brad Carlton. I know his character was written off after his death, but let's be honest, this show has brought people back to life before. The possibilities for I and R would be endless if they brought him back. Or better yet, why not bring him in as Bill Spencer from The Bold and the Beautiful? That would open up a whole new world of storylines. Don Diamond hasn't been given the storylines he deserves on B&B for a while now. He's underutilized, and it's such a waste of his talent. Honestly, it would be amazing to see both him and Colleen come back to the show. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.